Welcome to our channel. We appreciate each and every one of you. We love you guys. We read your comments. You are the smartest, without question. You're the smartest audience on this planet. No question in my mind. The story today is HTTP 404. That's right, HTTP 404. We'll talk about that in a minute. Many of you who work with computers are going to ask me, what does HTTP 404 mean? Well, we'll talk about that. It's when you go to a website and it's canceled. This is brought to you, of course, by silver and gold, Noble Gold Investments. Oh, they give me this thing to talk about, but you know, silver's down, gold's down. Everybody knows it's being manipulated by the banks. And COMEX died Friday night. It just died. They claim they're doing this and they're doing that. No, they're not. It died. They're having a hard time suppressing it because the San Francisco Mint, which makes silver coins, is shutting down. All the mints in America are shutting down because there's no silver. All the mints in India, as they kill Christians in India, are shutting down. The Indian economy will now be destroyed. So says the I am that I am, who was and is to come. Because the crowds are killing Christians. They worship the demons from the astral plane, and they're killing Christians. Anyway, so there's no more gold or silver being printed in the United States or India and dozens of other countries. There is no silver. So for them to suppress it is showing you how utterly insane our U.S. Treasury, Scott Bessent, has become. Utterly wackadoodle. Now, they can suppress it. They can fool some of the people all of the time and all of the people some of the time. But you can't fool all the people all the time. This is going to be extremely... And so is copper. This little one out, you know, this beat up old coin is still worth $75. That's what I paid for it. This copper coin is $6. This euro penny is worth exactly 1 cent in copper. And the euro penny has 666 on it. But the euro nations have 12 nations. And the original Madonna painted from the Bible in the Hermitage has 10 stars on it. Not 12 stars like the European Madonna. 10 stars like the Bible says. So the European Union's trying to be the destructo agent across the world to destroy planet Earth. And everybody sees through it. In fact, they have the Roman laurels on their pennies. And they're going away, just like the American penny, which is, if you get one made before 1982, 1981 and earlier, it's now worth 3.7 cents. It's 3.75 cents. Go figure. The penny's worth that's your retirement plan. Collect all the pennies printed before 1982, right? These other pennies from around the world are all made of real copper. Unlike the American penny, which is cheapened out from Mexico and countries I can't figure out with a magnifying glass. Not that we don't have a large magnifying glass, we need a microscope to read these pennies. I'm not kidding. But the US penny you can read. But it ain't worth nothing because it's made out of zinc. But overseas they're making real copper. And this is what's going to be worth something. Copper, which is in short supply, which is uranium in extremely, extremely short supply, and silver. They mine 800 million ounces, and they have an 800 million ounce shortage every year. The vaults are empty. I'm buying silver from Noble Gold because I'm sick and tired of seeing these. Discount on silver, $22 for an ounce of silver. Yeah, right. And this, I don't care where you get the silver. It's still worth it. Oh, this has lost a little weight. It went through a fire. That's a U.S. silver dollar that went through a fire. So I love the Morgans. Love them, love them, love them. Call Noble Gold, say, send me silver. We'll probably do it in another 3 months. Anyway, on to the news. Those who choose safety and security over freedom, if you choose security over freedom, you'll end up with neither. And that's what's happening. America's chosen safety and security, and they're winding up over freedom, and they're winding up with neither. You need to stand up like men and women. I had no idea how much the TV interfered with our brain until I moved out to finish my bachelor's degree at UC Berkeley. You know, 400 people apply, 80 get in, 40 go through the forestry school, and 40 graduate. So out of 800, 40 graduate. And out of those 3 were left in the field of forestry. I was one of the 3. Affirmative action, baby. Affirmative action. Anyway, the sunspots are increasing. The earthquakes are skyrocketing all over the world. Just go to Iris earthquakes. Just go to space weather. Every day there's another sunspot. It's bizarre. And so are vault sales. That's right. People are selling vaults all across the country. Caldwell Banker in Virginia is selling these 4,800 square foot bunkers, 1.99 million. They'll put in a bunker for 1.99 million. You'll have to call them. But bunker, as they say on the Adolf Hitler Bunker series, bunker sales are skyrocketing across America. The rich realize what's going on. They look at the iris map and go, uh-oh. If you have an opportunity to put in a basement, we can't because Tacoma once is dead, obviously. They're paid by the FBI to lie, cheat, steal, and murder. But if you live in a town that allows you to put in a basement, it's really inexpensive. You get a shovel, you dig, you pour a cement floor, you put the bricks in, you put the rebar in, you pour the cement in, and then you cap it. And you have an underground place. It's as big as you want it. I want a 20 by 40 underground basement. Wouldn't take that much to excavate it. Problem is we got surface water. Anyway, and the city says no. And in Kiev, oh my God, what's going on in Kiev? There's no power in Kiev. There are massive numbers of buildings without power. We need to pray for them. Their water lines are bursting. I had a guy in Montana who had his water lines 3 feet deep. Got so cold in Troy, Montana, the water lines burst. And he had his water running. So in the spring, he had to take in the water by hand all winter. And then in the spring, he didn't dig up the old lines. He just put in new lines 3 feet deep. And made sure the kids were at home all the time when it got cold so they can keep the water running. It's what is. He might want to put a well in his basement. And that's what a lot of people are doing. They're putting in a basement and the well in their basement, either diagonally or something. Anyway, pray for the people in Kiev. It was 10 degrees out and they have no heat. And the buildings that do get heat now, they're running the buildings 3 hours a day so they can run their gas heaters. It's cold. I live there. It's cold in the wintertime. And I'm telling you, if the heat doesn't work, you are so screwed. Anyway, I'm sure my friends are fine because they live in the building right across from the police station and the store for the police station, the state police station. Ukraine's about the size of a state. It is right across the street. I'm sure their building has heat. One of the few buildings that does. Anyway, in Greenland, the sanctions are really cutting into the people's ability to sell fish. So the fishermen are stocking up on the fish and the canneries are closing. And the European powers, all along the edges of Greenland are minerals and oil. And the European powers, Germany, France, the United Kingdom, the Dutch, are mining those minerals without paying the people from Greenland. And Trump says, no. You're giving every person in Greenland $30,000 to keep their mouth shut. No, that's BS. We're going to mine Greenland and give the Greenland people the money from the oil and the zinc and the rare earth metals. And the people in the Dutch colonies in Germany and France and England are fighting it because their governments are making money while they starve you with 100 million black Muslims they're giving welfare to, like in America, $8,500 a month. Well, the United States stopped funding that immigration welfare, and now your governments are broke. Oh. We need to pray that the people in Europe turn to God, and we're about at a revolutionary stage. And we got to go much faster because we got a whole lot of news to cover. Massive outages on X. That's right. There are massive outages across the internet. Cloudflare, Amazon Cloud Server. There are over 20,000 satellites in space. Another sunspot and the cloud server goes down, and the Amazon server goes down. You can't watch TV. Wham. So it's going to happen more and more. Don't tell me this digital ID is okay, because if Amazon goes down, guess who's in charge of the digital ID? Your system's going to crash, and then you get lost. And U.S. natural gas prices are going down after the emergency crisis. BlackRock screwed the American public by raising the price of natural gas during a natural disaster, and nobody's containing BlackRock. Let's just think, we ought to just put up a swastika right now. Anyway, Pam Bondi released yet another list of those who played on Epstein Island. What about those in Cabo Fabrosa? What about those in Sumatra? There's 3 others I don't know where they are, but I can show you where they are in Sumatra and Cabo Fabrosa, because we had a contract from Castro, I have one in my hands, that allowed us to pay him $3 million a year, and then we get Cabo Fabrosa, but the CIA has a nudist colony there, a colony to torture, rape, and murder children. Now, there's not been one arrest for people who kidnapped, tortured, raped, and murder. Lie, cheat, steal, and murder. The motto of the FBI. I know. I went through the law enforcement class. I know exactly how they think. Anyway, I am FBI law enforcement trained. So not one arrest, and Pam Bonnie's been cornering Congress, and she said, there isn't anything else she can say. According to Dun & Bradstreet, the Department of Justice is in competition with the United States Corporation. So Pam Bonnie's in competition with President Trump. I don't know how that works out. And finally, in our last story, the Department of War now confirms that they are sponsoring computer programmers across the internet to 404 conservatives. So you go to DrWilliamMount, the website, and it says can't reach it. You go to whatdoesitmean.com, website unavailable. You go to Zero Hedge, website unavailable. You go to Gateway Pundit, website unavailable. And they're being sued out of existence by the federal government because they tell the truth. That's right. Jim Hoft started it. They're being sued out of existence. They had to declare bankruptcy because the hundreds of lawsuits for telling the truth. Where's the Department of Justice? Exactly where the FBI is, lie, cheat, steal, and murder. Remember, Rosenstein ran the Department of Justice. His daddy ran the Gestapo during the Holocaust, Sieg Heil. Comey, in charge of the FBI, his daddy ran the SS, which killed 6 million prisoners of war during WW2. And what about Wernher von Braun, who runs NASA? Wernher von Braun was a good Nazi under Hitler. He made the V-1 rockets and the V-2 rockets, which killed hundreds of thousands of people. And then all of a sudden he's over in the United States working for Boeing and then running NASA. He hates America because we defeated Hitler. NASA hates America. The FBI hates America. The Department of Justice hates America. They're all run by Nazis who were loyal to Hitler, who died, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. He set up a compound on the border of Argentina. They celebrate his birthday every year down in Argentina. Big, huge Adolf Hitler celebration. Not in the news. You're not allowed to know about it. You are kept in the dark like mushrooms and fed BS, just like mushrooms. Keep them in the dark, feed them BS. Anyway, so the Department of Justice, Hegseth, not only is he not retired 40,000 National Guard and Army reservists in the year he's been in office, he hasn't retired me, and I still keep trying to protect the president and stop a nuclear war. That's why he doesn't retire me. He puts stress on me. That's the goal of Satan, to put stress on you. He says it every weekend. I get the letters from the devil to put stress on you. So he purposely is withholding my retirement to put stress on me while I try to save his pitiful, miserable little pukey life. Put me in a room with Hegseth. You'll be whimpering like a child in less than 1 minute. Walk up to him and say, in the name of Yeshua, sit down and shut up. And the demons have to. So anyway, Google, Anthropic, and Claude are in the process of eliminating those who tell the truth. So all those across the internet lie. I know. I listen to the conservatives, and if they have more than 40 or 50,000 hits a day, they're massively lying. They suppress the heck out of us, and this is all coming from the FBI and from Hegseth. He's on board with suppressing the truth now. Isn't that sad? That the head of the Department of War, which changed in 1949 from the Department of War to the Department of Defense, because they went woke. They went woke. Now they're back to the Department of War. Well, that's what they do. They promote war. War in Ethiopia over coltan, war in Venezuela over coltan, war in the Ukraine over coltan, war in the Congo over coltan, war in Burma. That's what the Department of Defense does. They promote war, so they're back to being the Department of War. War in Sudan, war in Somalia, 15,000 bombs are made a year by Boeing, and we've got to drop them on something. Then we can claim, we're out of bombs, we've got to make more. We've got to have a war somewhere. That's what the Department of War is all about, having a war somewhere. Russia and China are in Burma. The United States is in Burma. We're not talking about Burma because it's not white people. There are millions dying in Burma. Over 15 to 20 million people displaced by this conflict. That's a lot of homes that got burned down. That's a lot of people running for their lives. So Google, Anthropic, and Claude are the guardrails. They call them the guardrails of truth. We'll provide guardrails. You will worship the government. The government will become your God. You will watch TV and do exactly what you are told to do on TV. You know, I didn't realize how bad television was till my last year at UC Berkeley, and I had to study my tail off because I was in with a bunch of geniuses. They had photographic memories, and a lot of them were evil. I'm glad they never got into forestry. They would read a book, memorize it, then burn the book. And there's only one book in the library, or 2 books, or 3 books, and we all had to go to that book, and they would read it and then burn it. Evil people in this world. And so I had to study my brains off with other books just to get past Berkeley. Sure, I had a 3.0 average. In my master's, I got 2 Bs because the professor didn't agree with my philosophy of being in the military. Well, you can't argue with that. I'm not quitting just because some guy who came across some refugee who is now working as a professor in America who barely speaks English didn't like the fact that he's a refugee and I was a member of the military. I worked my butt off to get there. He couldn't barely write English. Anyway, so there are the guardrails. And those little cameras you're buying, you know, you buy them from some store and they're supposed to tie right into your computer. Well, they also tie into Google. Then the Google information goes to the master computer. I don't think it's in Ohio now. I think they moved it to Utah. And then it sends all the information to China and then 12 other countries. So when you set up a camera and it goes directly to your computer so you can see who's coming in and out of your house, it also goes into the master computer. Even though I think there's Gemini, which is some program Amazon has. Even though you don't pay for it, it goes into the master computer. It's in touch with the satellites. We are now in a surveillance economy. Like the Nazis said, if you do nothing wrong, why worry? Like the NSA says, why worry if you've done nothing wrong? We are the Nazi Empire. That's all there is to it. There's no denying it. It's what is. Anyway, God bless. Thank you very much. That's all the time we're going to take. Those are the major news stories that affect your pocketbook. And make sure you get clean food. Oh, and 2 last comments. Get clean food. And number 2, Jane was using 360. Of course, she uses Immunosist every day. She was using D360. She went to suntan herself, and she looked road hard and put away wet. She put on the facial serum for C60 Evo. C60 Evo. You got to have Evo or you get industrial crap. And, of course, she uses Immunosist every day. And I'm telling you, I walked in the next morning, and she was in her chair reading, and she looked 20 years younger. I went. She looked from 73 to 50 in one night. If you're in the boardroom, they think you're too old, you might want to think about C60. We're literally growing backwards. That just blows my mind. How can you, age-wise, grow backwards? But it's happening. It's happening. IGF-1 gives me plenty of energy. Immunosist makes sure it all goes down. The cinnamon from Get the Tea makes sure my blood sugar's fine. And this C60 is growing us backwards. Go figure. God bless. Thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.